Well, just how we find ourselves, the same way we find ourselves in a really interesting space where we're tired in the best way possible because it's been a big year. Um, we're finding the same from candidates and clients, and it was really interesting because we were part of a webinar yesterday of Job Adder, and they were just talking about the state of the market. And it was really interesting stats that came out of that. So just quoting from their stats is that they found that applications for jobs, and this is not just IT or finance, it's across the board, the number of applications per role has gone up with 65%.
That's
Yes,
huge.
huge. That's a huge increase, which again also reflects that there are more people looking for roles,
Mhm.
or not, or and I think people are applying for multiple positions, not just
Yeah.
one position. This is the one I'm suitable for, or this is the one I'm suitable for. They're applying for multiple roles. And when we dissected it this morning, Taylor and I was like, yep, we're experiencing the same. We looked
100%.
at the roles that we're working, where they're at, and working very closely with the client at the moment across a number of roles for them. And they've decided that one of the roles they're going to run internally. And it's been really interesting just to see what they're experiencing is exactly what the market has said.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really interesting for us. The few things we spoke about, Tyler,
Mm.
specifically was for candidates applying for a position, but
Yeah.
making sure that you still apply for the position that's really relevant to your skill set. That's always been the case,
Yeah.
but not
Yes,
just flicking a resume to any job that
because
you think you might be suitable for.
yeah. And that yeah, we are seeing that. We're seeing well, I'm seeing with especially within a couple of roles that I'm working on at the moment, there's a lot of high, very senior, very like influential people within their previous roles, and they are applying for almost mid entry to mid level, like
Mhm.
not necessarily senior roles. So we're experiencing a lot of that as well. A lot of high end, well, higher up people, so like your CTOs, your CFOs, all of that that are, applying for accountant roles
Yeah.
or purchasing roles and all of that. I spoke to a logistics and procurement manager, and he's been in a similar role within the same company for 18 years, and he's like, I've actually had enough. Like I want to step down. But if a client saw that candidate, they would completely just send them off because they've got too much experience. Where
Mm.
I think if you have a conversation with them, you can really pinpoint why. But again, coming back to only applying for jobs that you're suitable for, you still need to tailor your resume to that job. So
Yeah.
even if it is just maybe changing the title of your job slightly, or maybe adding a few extra, I don't know, words in there, or a dual title, that could really help. I don't necessarily want to say playing it down a little, but you kind of have to
Yeah.
get the attention from the client.
Yeah. And it's just the old saying that we've been harping
Yeah.
on about for so long. You need to tailor your resume to each and every position.
Yeah.
Which was interesting really with that company is they were recruiting, before we got involved, they were recruiting a CFO,
Mm.
and they've seen same candidates apply for a finance analyst that applied for the CFO position. Now that does two things.
Mm.
Firstly, if they've looked at your resume for the CFO role and you're not a CFO, then don't apply for that position if you don't have the skill set. If you are a CFO and you've applied for a company that you've applied for a CFO position, and now they're advertising not a senior finance analyst, just a finance analyst, there's going to be questions around what's your motivation here because you're looking at a CFO position and a fund. So I think the message is make sure that when you're applying for a position, who are you applying to, and is your skill set in your resume ticking the boxes for what they're looking for, and the titles.
Yeah.
Really important. And if it's not, then change it. Work within the parameters that you might be, I don't know, instead of being a network architect, you could be a senior network consultant, or just work around with the words, and recruitment companies are there to help with that.
Yeah.
And if you're applying to the same company for two positions at two very different levels, be mindful of that, because
Yeah.
it does say something without you actually even speaking with the organization.
Yeah. And it
So maybe
may,
just be mindful.
yeah.
Mm,
And doing that may degrade your ability as well.
yeah,
Or, yeah, it's not a great look, but I mean, if there is a reason for it,
yeah.
I mean, you need to kind of get that reason
Yes.
across.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's difficult when you're applying directly to an organization that you can't necessarily have a conversation, but you can certainly put it in your resume. We've had a candidate that was quite senior in permanent roles, and the person just had enough. He was really looking, enough of permanency. He wanted to
Yeah.
step into the contracting world. And we had to work around his resume to make sure that we hit the areas that was relevant in his resume to the positions that we were applying for, for him as a contractor. And really, you just need to get your foot in the door in
Yeah.
that first contract. But that took work on his resume. He got the position, and there was nothing manufactured in his resume. All the facts were exactly what he did. We just worded it differently or put a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
But that's work. It wasn't a half an hour process. It took a few days for us to get around and make sure that we get it right. So I get it. People don't have time to tailor every resume for every application, but you probably do need to do
Yeah.
it.
And look, it like you said, there's a 60% increase in job applicants. That
Yeah,
means there's 60% more people searching for jobs at the moment. So for you to
correct.
stand out, you can't just use your regular cookie cutter resume
Yes,
anymore. Like you may used to be able to, but at the moment where people are looking for those keywords and you to sort of fit the brief 90 to 100% these days.
correct.
So,
Yeah,
or
correct.
even 80%, and then sort of
Have a
have the
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
But yeah, putting in a little bit of time and effort now, you will get so much more out of it in the long run. And that could potentially land you 3 different offers
correct.
because you
Correct.
took the time to find out what the job is, included that into your resume only if it's relevant.
Yes,
And yeah, you took the time to really focus on, you know, even if it's just rewording a few different things or
yeah,
um, changing a couple of sentences, adding a few extra things, changing the skill set up to the top instead of down to the bottom. That
correct.
sort of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the flip side of that coin is also on the client side.
Mm,
Obviously, applications have gone up by 65%. That means they're receiving 65% more applications in in numbers. So that also means if I've got a role and I've got 200 people applying, you don't have the luxury of sitting and reading through every resume, trying to find out why this person applied for the position. If you can't see within a few seconds
yeah.
why this candidate is relevant for this position that I'm recruiting for, you get discarded. So it's really, I think it's more a focus of ruling out instead of ruling in.
Mm,
So that's why it's so important to make sure that your resume hit the marks of what they're looking for in the position description. So that when your resume is opened, it's a yes, yes, yes. Oh, perfect. We need to speak to this person instead of Oh, I can't see it. I'm not too difficult. Other
Yeah.
pile because there's 199 other resumes I've got to work through.
Yeah.
So see it from that perspective as well, that if you hit the key points and you are the suitable candidate, you will stand out
Yeah.
because you're hitting the mark of what they're
Yeah.
looking for.
And from what we've seen, a lot of people don't customize their resumes.
No.
I would say like
Yes.
95%, maybe even 98%
Yes.
don't customize their resumes. And I guess that's kind of where we can come in as well to help really assist and help do that tiring process.
Yes. Yeah, it is
But
time
also, I
consuming.
think exactly, yeah. And we've been in the industry enough to be able to sort of pick up on other things because we do it on a daily basis
Yes.
that a client might not pick up on. So,
Yeah. And we
yeah,
know that, just from experience, certain industries, certain companies in those industries would be more suited to what the client's looking for. So,
yeah,
based on your skills, not just your skill set, but based on your specific experience in a specific company, in a specific industry, that could be really beneficial, which you wouldn't, as an applicant, necessarily know
yeah,
that is a key area. So, it's highlighting all those little things, and that's just based on experience. Like
mm,
Taylor said, even just your skill set, putting the stuff at the top that you've
yeah, the
done
more
that is
relevant.
relevant to that specific position. We just had a candidate yesterday that I submitted to a client. His LinkedIn profile screamed exactly what we were looking for. His Seek profiles in his Seek resume and his Seek profile screamed what we were looking for. When he sent me his updated CV, the specific skill set that we were talking about is nowhere in his resume. Like, I've just told you that these are the two things that the client needs. You do have the experience because I can see that on
Where
all
is
three
it?
other profiles, but your resume doesn't have it in. So we then went, hey, based on your Seek profile, your LinkedIn profile, your Seek resume, can we add this in? Have you done it? Yes, I have. Please put it in.
Yeah,
But if he had applied directly to the company, he would not have had an interview because he didn't have those two specific
yeah,
skills that they were looking for, which he actually did have, but it wasn't in his resume.
yeah.
So
And
it's not
yeah,
rocket science.
similar to the other one that we had, it was contract with government, and they were looking for MSP, and I knew that she had it because we spoke about it. It was in her cover letter,
But
nowhere to be found in her resume. So again, like if a client reads a cover letter and not a resume, or if they only read a resume, not a cover letter, they may not put the two and two
yes,
together. So that is so
yes.
important.
And speaking about cover letters, yes, you can change your cover letter for each application. Um, that's not enough. It needs to
No,
be in your resume.
100%.
Yeah, I don't read cover letters.
I To be fair, I don't
No,
either.
I don't
If
read a
I
cover
do
letter.
need if I see a resume and I'm like, "Oh, you might be on the right point," and see that they've got a cover letter, then I'll go,
Yes,
but I'll just be
yes,
quickly through it, look out for those
resume first.
keywords, but
Yeah,
not necessarily.
correct. Resume first. What's in the resume? Show me your experience and your skill set. And exactly that. If I'm on the fence and I'm not
Mm,
100% sure, you look right, but you don't. Yeah, you look sort of there. Then I'll go and look at the cover letter. But other than that, I don't.
yeah.
So don't just think, oh, I'll just redo my cover letter and just use the same cookie cutter resume every time. Don't do that. It's a
I
shortcut, but it's a shortcut. You're cutting yourself short.
Yeah, and I know that that's what people get taught in uni because I was taught exactly the same thing. Do one cover letter and then you just change the title of what it is, and it's quite a generic cover letter. And I found it the other day as well,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
very, very generic. And like this was part of like a uni assignment, and it wasn't specific whatsoever. And then, true, I was like, how did I get a job with this? Like, how did I actually get a job with
Because,
my cover letter and my resume? Because it was so broad, it wasn't specific to what I was applying for. It's only now that I've had the opportunity to sort of see it from the other point of view and really learn about resumes and cover letters and all of that just purely through my experience.
Yes.
Coming out of uni, you'd have
Yes.
no
You don't
idea
know.
because
Correct.
I didn't. And that cover letter, shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. Don't even know why. Like, it's so bad.
We might put a few snippets of that on LinkedIn as
Oh
as
my God.
don't do this.
This is a do not. I might have to blur out my name because I don't want people knowing that this is what I used to use.
That's why we're here, and that's why we've got the experience to help and to assist and to go add this, add that, change this,
Yeah.
change that. Um, although the applications, there's more applications per role, it seems like there's a little bit more positive sentiment in the market as well. So, based on that, clients are still specific. They still want to make 100% sure that they definitely need to recruit this position. Is it possible that one person can do 2 jobs? Okay, no, it's not. Then we'll recruit the role, but then we want every little box ticked. So although it is becoming a bit more positive, you still have huge amount of competition in the market. But we're there to help. And good candidates, I always say this, good candidates will find a job. It might just take a little bit longer based on the market, but you will find a position. And if you do those things and take a bit of extra time, you will find the position.
Yeah, definitely. I've also had conversations with people circling back to where the market's at. In Brisbane, the market has really picked up.
Good.
Sydney and Melbourne,
Not so much.
not so much.
Yeah.
So
Adelaide
I
too?
think where we're situated at the moment in Brisbane, it's the place to be at the moment for jobs in the industry, whereas Sydney and Melbourne, or even Adelaide, Suki, you spoke with somebody from Adelaide, and people are looking to relocate to Brisbane because the market's really good at the moment compared to
There's
everywhere
movement
else,
there.
which is strange because you'd think Sydney and Melbourne market would be better than Brisbane, but it's actually not, which is really good for us
It is
anyway.
great. And even that, it goes through cycles. So if you're on a cycle where your specific area and your specific role in industry is quiet, it just is where the market is at that stage. But again, if you've got the good resume, you've tailored it towards the position, and you're applying it again, it might just take a little bit longer, but you will find a job. The market is not dead. The market is just quiet.
Yeah. And it usually is, well, coming into end of financial year and the start of the new financial year, and then it goes a little bit quiet around Christmas time, and then so it does. It usually comes in waves.
Correct.
But jump on the wave when you can.
Yes.
If you want a new job, you got to jump on the wave.
So we're here to help with resumes or just any questions, and reach out.
Yeah.